An anomalous earthquake in the United States, hurricane-force winds in Malaysia, panic aboard an airliner in the skies over South Korea, a deadly squall in Indonesia. Next in this report, a chronicle of these and other natural disasters from the past week, and most importantly, the causes behind this series of catastrophes. United States. Beginning on March 5th, the interaction of warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico with a cold northern front triggered a large-scale outbreak of extreme weather across the central regions of the United States. Dangerous tornadoes, large hail, and destructive winds struck the region, affecting 12 states. More than 100,000 people were left without electricity. The greatest damage occurred in the southwestern part of the state of Michigan, in Cass County, St. Joseph County, and Branch County. Along the shore of Union Lake, a powerful EF3 tornado with wind speeds of up to 241 kilometers per hour swept through the area. The storm shattered the ice cover, destroyed houses and cottages, and some structures were torn from their foundations. A mobile home was lifted into the air and thrown approximately 90 meters. Its resident was killed. In total, 3 people died near the lake, and at least 12 others were injured. As it weakened, the tornado continued its path and moved through the city of Union City, causing further destruction. In the history of Michigan, this vortex became the earliest EF3 or stronger tornado ever recorded by meteorologists. Another strong EF2 tornado swept through the village of Three Rivers. Wind speeds reached 209 kilometers per hour. The storm tore off roofs, knocked down trees and power lines, and lifted clouds of debris into the air. The vortex raged for only a few minutes, but the cleanup will take weeks and even months.
Oh my God.
For more than 1.5 kilometers, West Broadway Street was covered with wires, sheet metal, and shattered glass. Several businesses and public buildings, including a high school, suffered serious damage.
Right there.
A local supermarket, restaurant, hotel, and an emergency department were affected.
Friday night.
In Three Rivers, fortunately, there were no fatalities, although 10 people were injured. According to eyewitnesses, the storm struck suddenly. Just 20 minutes before the impact, the sky had been clear and the sun was shining. An EF1 tornado in Cass County caused the death of a 12-year-old boy, and several other people were injured. It became the deadliest tornado day in Michigan in 46 years. During the night of March 6th, at least 7 tornadoes were recorded in the state of Oklahoma. In Major County, west of the city of Fairview, a powerful EF2 tornado threw a car off US Route 60. Inside the vehicle were a woman and her teenage daughter. Tragically, both of them died. Another EF3 tornado, with wind gusts reaching 233 kilometers per hour, passed through the city of Beggs in Okmulgee County.
Officials are still tornadoes that happen tonight.
In one of the 4 houses destroyed by the storm, a married couple was killed. Early in the morning on March 5th, an earthquake with a magnitude of 4.9 struck northwestern Louisiana. The epicenter was located near the small town of Coushatta, and the hypocenter lay at a depth of only 11 kilometers.
So areas
Inside homes, beds shook, walls vibrated, and dishes and pipes rattled.
the Haynesville.
The United States Geological Survey registered more than 1,100 reports of shaking, which were felt even in eastern Texas and southwestern Arkansas. This earthquake became one of the strongest in the history of Louisiana. In the region, a stronger earthquake with a magnitude of 5.3 has been recorded only once, in 2006 in the Gulf of Mexico, far from populated areas.
Inland earthquake.
In contrast, the earthquake on March 5th occurred on land and was clearly felt by people. Although a magnitude 4.9 earthquake is not considered destructive and no damage was reported, scientists are concerned about the increasing seismic activity in the region. Since the beginning of December 2025, 15 earthquakes with magnitudes ranging from 2.5 to 4.9 have already been recorded in the northwestern part of the state. Even though Louisiana is usually considered a region with low seismic activity, the significant frequency of tremors has become another alarming signal. On March 9th, near the town of Edgefield, 4 earthquakes with magnitudes from 3.1 to 4.0 were recorded within 10 minutes. 2 of these events enter the list of the 4 strongest earthquakes in the history of Louisiana. Paraguay.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Soy su meteorólogo Francisco Holguín y aquí estoy.
A brief but powerful storm struck Asunción on March 3rd, causing significant destruction within just a few minutes. The most difficult situation developed in the downtown area of the capital. Fallen trees damaged parked cars, streetlights, and power lines, blocking traffic at several intersections. Before road clearing could begin, specialists from the National Electricity Administration had to be called in, since broken wires and cables had become tangled in the tree branches, creating a danger for workers. In the Barrio Obrero district, strong winds caused part of the wall of a sports club to collapse. In addition, the storm triggered dangerous flash flooding on the city's streets. Indonesia. On March 3rd, heavy rainfall triggered a cold lahar descending from the slopes of the Indonesian volcano Mount Merapi. A rain-washed mass of mud, ash, and rocks rushed down the river channels with tremendous force and buried several villages in the Magelang Regency of Central Java. As a result, vast areas were covered with volcanic deposits whose thickness in some places reached 10 meters. A state of emergency was declared in the district. Roads and bridges were destroyed, residential and commercial buildings were damaged, and the water supply system in one of the villages stopped functioning. Tragic events occurred at a sand mining site along the Sinowo River, where quarry workers were suddenly overtaken by the lahar. More than 10 trucks and 2 excavators were buried under the mud and rock flow, and several people were swept away by the current. In a video that spread across social media, one worker can be seen clinging to the top of an excavator in an attempt to save himself. Rescue teams with heavy machinery arrived at the scene, expanding the search area to 7 kilometers from the point where the people were carried away by the lahar. The bodies of 2 victims were found among large boulders, approximately 3 kilometers from the site of the incident. The disaster claimed the lives of 3 people, 2 are considered missing, and 6 others were injured. Several regions of Indonesia were affected by strong, gusty winds. They knocked down trees and advertising structures, making traffic on the roads difficult. A tragic incident occurred in the city of Surabaya. On March 2nd, a team of industrial climbers was washing the windows of a high-rise building using suspended platforms. At that moment, a powerful storm suddenly began. Noticing the approaching bad weather, they decided to stop the work. But heavy rain and squall winds struck before the 2 workers managed to descend. The suspended platform, which was positioned at approximately the 26th floor, began to swing violently and crash against the facade of the building. One of the climbers became entangled in the safety ropes and fell from the suspended structure. As a result of the powerful impacts against the wall, he suffered severe head injuries and died. The second worker survived and was hospitalized with injuries. Kenya. On March 5th, heavy rains caused sudden large-scale flooding in the country's capital, Nairobi. The disaster claimed at least 42 lives. Some people drowned, while others died from electric shock. Traffic jams almost paralyzed movement throughout the city, and many people became trapped by rising water inside their cars. Military personnel were deployed to assist emergency services. The flooding damaged more than 100 vehicles, some of which were overturned by the powerful water flow. Air travel was also disrupted, and several flights were diverted to the coastal city of Mombasa. In the natural park Karura Forest, rivers overflowed and flooded part of the territory, forcing the temporary closure of popular trails leading to caves, bridges, and waterfalls. Malaysia. On the evening of March 6th, a powerful storm struck several regions of Malaysia. Eyewitnesses compared it to a typhoon. At approximately 6 in the evening, heavy rain and squall winds hit the city of Putrajaya and several cities in the states of Selangor and Perak. In the city of Cyberjaya, the storm struck a Ramadan market. Powerful winds swept away market stalls together with the goods, while vendors tried in vain to hold them down. The severe weather also affected residential neighborhoods of the city, where a large tree fell onto a parked car. The area around the shopping center Center Mall in the city of Ipoh was also damaged. On March 7th, the storm moved to the northwestern regions of the country. In the city of Seberang Perai in the state of Penang, hurricane-force winds damaged 34 homes. In the area of Kampung Tasik, a large tree collapsed onto a residential house, also causing power lines to snap. South Korea.
현수막은 이리저리 찢긴 채 허공을 맴돕니다.
In the South Korean city of Busan, a strong wind advisory remained in effect for 2 days at the beginning of March. Wind gusts reached a speed of 29.5 meters per second. Footage spread on social media showing people barely able to remain standing in the powerful wind. The severe weather caused numerous incidents. Retaining walls and parts of building facades collapsed, signs, banners, and trees were blown down. One powerful gust shattered the glass storefront of a hotel. Within 24 hours, at least 28 such cases were recorded. In addition, interruptions in the electricity supply were reported. The strong wind also complicated operations at Gimhae International Airport. Gusts exceeding 20 meters per second made it difficult for aircraft to land safely. On a flight from Tokyo, one passenger panicked after several unsuccessful landing attempts. The aircraft was diverted to Daegu for refueling. The crew later attempted to land again at Gimhae, but that attempt also failed. Eventually, the plane landed at Incheon International Airport. The strong, gusty wind was accompanied by rain, with up to 27 millimeters of precipitation recorded in some areas.
JTBC 구석탄입니다.
To understand why so many unusual natural phenomena are being recorded around the world today, phenomena that people had rarely encountered before, it is necessary to look deeper at what is happening at the level of the physics of processes. Our planet is a gigantic physical and chemical system in which thermal, potential, and kinetic energy continuously transform into one another. These energy transformations drive processes that manifest at the visible level in all spheres of the Earth. However, this balance is now significantly disrupted. One of the largest sources of energy on the planet is the ocean. Magmatic activity beneath the oceanic crust heats its waters, forming an enormous reserve of thermal energy. In the past, excess heat was comparatively quickly transferred into the atmosphere and then dissipated into outer space, allowing the ocean and the atmosphere to maintain a relatively stable energy equilibrium. Now the situation is gradually changing. Pollution of the ocean by microplastic and nanoplastic affects the processes of heat exchange between water and the atmosphere. Plastic particles act similarly to an insulating layer, causing the ocean to release accumulated heat less efficiently. As a result, evaporation intensifies, and consequently the kinetic energy of the atmosphere increases. The energy of moving air masses such as winds, cyclones, and hurricanes. The higher the speed of air flows, the more powerful these phenomena become. Even today, it is widely observed that tropical cyclones rapidly intensify to record categories, while hurricane-force wind gusts appear in regions where such phenomena had previously been rarely recorded. At the same time, the potential energy of the atmosphere also increases, associated with the vertical movement of air masses and the release of latent heat during the formation of precipitation. Another factor is emerging in parallel, the accumulation of electric charges in the atmosphere. Nanoplastic is capable of retaining charge due to the so-called electret effect, effectively forming a kind of energy storage within the atmosphere. Previously, this chain of energy processes functioned like a well-tuned mechanism. However, due to large-scale plastic pollution, part of the energy is beginning to remain trapped within the Earth system. This is reflected not only in the climate, but also in geodynamic processes. What today manifests as destructive winds, extreme precipitation, or anomalous earthquakes is increasingly viewed not as isolated random events, but as interconnected manifestations of processes occurring within the complex energy system of our planet. As a result, phenomena that were considered rare only recently are now occurring more frequently, and their frequency is rising very rapidly, as confirmed by statistical observations. Under these conditions, it is critically important to direct scientific efforts towards studying the influence of microplastic and nanoplastic, since this problem has already reached a planetary scale and will not disappear on its own without a global solution.